The Pope should have by now immediately called every cardinal and the bishop, and not called directly, but called for them to get their noses out of the legislative battle across this nation. No longer block the statutes of limitation reform that people need. Legislative leaders, and I'll use that term very loosely, need to lead and protect the most vulnerable members of their districts instead of the money bags that help them in their campaign coffers. Everybody needs to surround and support Attorney General Shapiro's efforts to enact the reforms that are recommended in the grand jury that he and his entire staff has spent the better part of 6 years building a case and gathering to ensure safety for the children of Pennsylvania. Harrisburg and Greensburg dioceses, put out press conference that we are not interfering with the Attorney General grand jury investigation in any way, shape, or form. But then just recently we found out, months before they put out that statement in December, that they in fact filed papers, sealed, that have been removed, papers to completely stop and prevent this report from seeing the light of the day. So, the Catholic Church has two sides of its mouth that it's talking out of right now, and we need to close it off and just get one sound, cohesive answer from the Vatican. I was 10 years old, and between the ages of 10 years old and 13, I was sexually assaulted by my priest, who was my religion teacher in grade school in the 5th grade, and my basketball coach, my Pee Wee basketball coach. I grew up one block from the school. The rectory was on my way home. He used to put me on his lap and let me drive his car, steer his car, while he fondled my genitals. It started with tickling, moved into fondling, went into showering, and then on one occasion he digitally penetrated me when I was 13 years old, and I didn't like it, and I shot him a look in the shower, and luckily for me, that's where my abuse stopped.
The priest who abused you is alive, right?
He's alive. He owns a house 5 minutes from my house in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Did you ever see him?
Luckily, I have not, but I have had friends that do. Oh, do you know George Koharchick comes in here? I see him all the time. I'd be like, yeah. Like, well, I'm glad that I go home frequently. I have a house there. My wife is there. She's a surgeon in Johnstown. I have a restaurant in New York that's getting seated in, so I travel back and forth to Johnstown regularly. Luckily, I have not. I've often wondered if I'd ever be able to sit down and really talk to him about it, if I could control my rage long enough, because really and truly, I see George Koharchick as a troubled man. He has real issues that he needs professional help with. I have forgiven my abuser years ago, and I have gotten over the physical side of the abuse. What is impossible to get over, and I say that again, impossible to get over, is the systemic cover-up from the moral, faith-based Roman Catholic Church that my parents entrusted with my life to enrich my life by introducing me to this religion, and instead they stole any chance at a real, solid, high quality of life for me in the future.